Hey everybody, Jay Barino here. Got a new vlog for you today. Just got some thoughts swirling around. Gotta get them into a video, onto the page as it were. That's what the vlogs are for. So, just thinking a lot about the challenges this year have brought. Right? 2020, every day seems to bring a fresh new hell. That's hyperbole, but just a lot is newsworthy this year, and it's very overbearing. But on a more personal level, I know people are starting school recently, and unemployment is way up. People are really struggling to find jobs. So this might be strange. This is a strange vlog coming from me. I'm not trying to change the world with this, but just some stuff that's been going through my head. And it makes me think back to a time in my life where I was going through some tough times too. So I thought maybe I could share that. And I guess if it's relatable or resonates even with one person, I think if I could, that would be great. If it could just help even one person, I suppose. And I think back to when I was in undergrad. I was a freshman, so this was over 10 years ago. But I had just started school, and my grades were slipping pretty much right away. I was a pretty high achiever in high school, and in my first couple semesters, my grades weren't great in school. The girl that I had a big crush on also had rejected me, so it was kind of like a double whammy. And if you find yourself kind of in a situation where you're not looking forward to talking to your parents on the phone because you don't want them to ask you, hey, how are your grades? Perhaps you're in a similar situation to me. Another reason that prompted me to think about this is I have a friend who's a teacher, and he has advisees, and he was asking some of us, hey, what do you wish your advisor would have told you when you started school? And that got me thinking about how I wish my advisors made it much more clear that when you start to slip, to be aware that you're going to naturally want to slip into a pattern of avoidance. And if you do get into that pattern, try to recognize it and ask for help. Your advisors are not there just to schedule your classes and give you advice on what classes to take. Your advisors are there to help you try to succeed. And that includes your mental and emotional help. Simply, if you feel like you're stuck, they're there to help you. You just go and tell them, like, hey, I'm not performing as well as I should. And they'll ask questions and try to help you get on track. It's not just, hey, I don't know what level of math to take next semester. That's too specific. Anyway, in my situation, I fell into playing World of Warcraft, and I'm not blaming games. I'm not blaming World of Warcraft, though I do think games like World of Warcraft inadvertently draw in people who use games as an avoidance tactic. So it's when you know you need to be doing something, and then you put it off. It's basic procrastination, right? Procrastinating, taking the trash out for a couple hours, is not really what I'm referring to. I'm talking about longer-term stuff. Your grades are slowly slipping, so you game more and more. Again, you don't want that call from mom and dad because you don't want to tell them that your grades are poor. You were rejected by your best friend and you just professed your love to them, something like that, and then you start slipping again into a pattern of avoidance. And the reason I use gaming as the example is because that's what I did, and what I imagine maybe would resonate with some of you. And I think this is extremely pertinent now because, again, I think because of COVID, students are now going back to school and things are very different, right? So virtual learning is going to be a big adjustment for people if that's the situation they find themselves in. And I just want to make it clear that there are people who want to listen and people who are willing to help. And even your parents, you'd be surprised. I mean, I think a lot of people expect if you show that weakness, if you show, oh, I'm a failure, that people would be disappointed in you. But here's the thing. You can't make any solid strides forward unless you're willing to eventually put yourself out there to possibly get rejected. So what can happen, right, is they'll reject you. They'll say they're disappointed in you. And then what happens? You already knew that you were behind. You already knew that you were failing in certain things. It's not going to get any worse. But what could happen as well is you'll realize that you have incredibly supportive family or friends, even online. You don't know until you put yourself out there. And I realize that's a lot easier said than done. But the whole key behind all of this is trying to raise some metacognition within yourself. And the words that I've come to live by in this regard are awareness precedes control. You need to understand why your brain is trying to work against your long-term best interests. And just recognize when your brain is saying, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to play games. You need to recognize when and why your brain is doing those specific things. You need to recognize it first before it's not just saying, hey, today I'm going to get up and I'm going to do more work. It's of course not that simple. There's a big mental health aspect to this. And along the lines of mental health, one thing that I've really come to try to appreciate is preventative mental health, right? When we talk about preventative physical health, we say live a healthy lifestyle. Make sure you walk around a little bit to not get blood clots in your legs. Eat healthy foods, exercise. These are preventative things for your physical health. When we think about mental health, it's immediately a diagnosis when someone is sick. We don't think about preventative mental health. And that's something I wish everybody would think more about, making sure to, again, preventative mental health so that you don't fall into these patterns, right? It's okay to fail and fall behind, but you have a fortitude to your emotions where you feel comfortable going to a support system that has already been created. Again, that would have been a preventative thing you could do. But in any case, I had read more about mental health and just learned more about myself, and that's kind of what helped me start digging myself out of that rut where I stopped playing as many video games for as long, and I was able to steadily improve. And then I ended up graduating with a pretty good GPA. I met my then girlfriend, then fiance, then wife, and it's all been uphill from there. But again, that makes it sound very simple and very quick. But I just want to make it clear that, you matter, and you failing at something once or twice to you is a very big deal, and you may feel very self-conscious. Again, especially this is specifically towards students who are just starting school or going back to school or had just graduated and are looking for a job, and it's particularly challenging. Your whole life is not a failure because you're struggling a little bit. But I think the key is to make sure that you do not fall into a pattern of avoidance where it will make things just monumentally worse. But if you're already there is still time. There's always time to reach out to somebody, whether it's an advisor or your parents or your friends or an online community. Seriously, people are there and people are willing to listen. Which transitions me kind of into my next topic. You get a JBO double feature here, which is online communities in general. And if you've been watching my streams or if you're on the Discord, you know that I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. And I don't want to make this seem like, this is so much bigger than just me, right? It's not just like my community, which is relatively small, right? It's just about how we're all little bricks in the pyramid of online communities. And every single one of us, content creators, streamers, YouTubers, what have you, and all viewers, anybody who participates and leaves comments, we're all part of this. And it's not just on the community administration. I think a lot of responsibility falls on them, but it's not just up to them, and it very much falls on every individual person to create a healthy online community that can be supportive. Again, so like transitioning where I recognize, I think, especially online, people use online communities as sort of a refuge. But recently, I've really found myself connecting a lot with some friends I've made online, and I've had some really fulfilling conversations with those people. And I just want to say that, online gaming communities don't just have to be a barren wasteland of misery where everybody has like this hardened exoskeleton and you can never show weakness because it's like blood in the water with sharks. Right? Certain communities, I think, could be created to have a fairly positive environment, a welcoming environment where you can, share some personal details if you want and people are willing to listen. So all I would encourage is, if you can spare the mental energy, and it's not easy, but if you have that emotional capacity to spare, be that person for someone else, and maybe they can do that for you as well. Pass the torch in that way. And because I think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of challenges these days, and a big part is to avoid trying to problem solve, especially for a stranger. You don't know enough about them, but be willing to actively listen. And again, that's not a natural skill that everybody has. It's something you have to do before you can get better at it. I'm not great at it, but I've been trying. And again, you would be surprised at how helpful that can be when building online relationships that may eventually turn into real life relationships. You never know. But the point is, we can use these online communities in a positive way and not just a negative way. And I think to wreck full suicide. And we've had situations like this online in the past where the online community, the Twitter sphere, Twitch chat gets very concerned about mental health for about a month, and then we all forget about it and everything goes back to the typical toxicity. And I guess I'll throw my hat in the ring there, and hopefully not, forget about this in a month. But I do think it's important. Everybody has a part to play. The smallest thing you can do is don't dogpile. If someone's getting dunked on, even if you know that person is wrong and deserves it, don't add to it. Don't make it worse. Don't fall into don't take an incentive for negativity, right? Positivity to me is not about saying everybody never be negative, everybody never critique anything, everybody always be nice. That's artificial to me. Positivity to me is simply avoiding a reward structure for negativity. So, this is where content creators more come into play, where, if you're a content creator and you're dogpiling, you're basically signaling the rest of your audience that this is an okay atmosphere, right? And it's okay to just simply not have an opinion on something and just don't play into it. And again, it takes some emotional energy sometimes to not have what I've come to see as basically like a flippant sense of annoyance, like a how dare you, like you've said something that I know is wrong, you're a dummy, and you just sort of hand wave it away, kind of a smugness. This is an attitude that I feel like is very prevalent online, and nobody's really willing to allow themselves to either, one, not say anything, which would be perfectly acceptable and the easiest thing to do, or two, actually engage a little bit and understand what's going on with that person and maybe understand, how did you come to this conclusion? Because, again, unless you're dealing with someone who's like a political bad faith actor who's trying to push an agenda, which, to be fair, is fairly common. You don't want to get gish-galloped, into oblivion. But I've found that a lot of people are just harmlessly misinformed, and rather than explaining exactly why they're wrong, you have to listen to them. You have to make it clear that you understand them, and then maybe they will then listen to you. And if we can all do this, we're more likely to have a much more positive community online. Again, positivity not in like a forced way, but simply creating incentives, passive social incentives for people to be willing to listen to each other, and therefore create a positive environment, which could lead to people making personalized connections, meeting friends online, getting to know people, and then one day someone has a very bad day, or they finally realize, I've had bad grades for 3 semesters in a row. I have no one to talk to. Oh, wait, I do have someone to talk to. And that's maybe a stretch. It's maybe a pretty significant stretch to go down that road, but to me, that's what I'd like to be able to provide. Not me personally, but I'd like a community that is maybe willing to try that. And not everybody has to, right? But ultimately, I just want a community that's welcoming around the content that I make, I suppose. And we kind of share this hobby, and that's what connects us. And I've met so many interesting people from all around the world, and that's the best part of all of this to me. But again, if there's even a small chance that, we connect one person to another person, and then, they can help each other in some way, even if that's 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000, that is a massive step, I think, in bettering online communities and all of us as individuals. Again, I like to think that maybe we can use online interactions in a positive way. I think right now it's easy to just assume it's all negative, and why would I open up to anybody because everybody's just mean? But that's not true. You have to be willing, I guess, to try it. And I will say that personally, I've made some really, really fulfilling friendships and had some really, really engaging and interesting conversations where I've learned a lot about, people all around the world. So it's really been great. So this was a weird one. Again, it's just been thoughts that have been swirling around in my head that I figured I would share a little bit. And again, if this resonates even with just one person, I guess mission accomplished. If not, then at least I got it, into a video and out of my head. And I just hope you all keep enjoying the content I make on a separate note, and, leave your suggestions, I suppose, and just be well. Think about your mental health. It's important. You're important, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.